For years, he positioned himself as the smartest mind in fitness, until a small YouTuber exposed the truth that had been hiding all along.
And so my IQ is above 160. We don't know how high because they don't do standardized IQ tests above that.
Spencer, my thought is, whenever I think about Mike Spencer, I already thought it 20 years ago. Get us a few other things he said, which were insane, psychotic, totally dumb, and backwards wrong.
This is the story of how Mike Israetel went from fitness industry kingmaker to academic fraud. Before the scandals and academic humiliation, Mike Israetel was exactly what the fitness industry desperately needed: a legitimate PhD holder with actual credentials in a space drowning in bro science and supplement scams.
And so I just began a journey, went to a master's program, went to a PhD program, basically just try to learn more stuff about how the body works late in my undergrad. And for sure, through my master's, I fell in love with hypertrophy training and just getting jacked. And then through my PhD at East Tennessee State, I became more and more fascinated with how to take the hypertrophy training.
He co-founded Renaissance Periodization, a science-based fitness company with his college friend Nick Shaw. When Mike got on YouTube, everything changed. His world suddenly got a lot bigger. His channel Renaissance Periodization grew to nearly 4 million subscribers with videos pulling hundreds and thousands of views monthly. And his collaborations with creators like Jeff Nippard cemented his status as one of the smartest minds in the space.
So if you, let's say, have a program where you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and your fatigue starts to accumulate a whole lot, if you skip Wednesday altogether, your fatigue is going to fall a certain amount by the time you hit Friday.
He started to see himself above even the greats. When he spoke about training styles from legends like Dorian Yates, a 6-time Mr. Olympia, and Mike Menser, he was blunt. He thought their high-intensity, low-volume methods were outdated and wrong, and he made that clear.
I'm bigger and stronger than Mike Menser. I'm more educated than Mike Menser. I know more things than Mike Menser.
Renaissance Periodization became synonymous with evidence-based training, but evidence-based science requires actual evidence. And when someone finally looked closely at Mike's academic work, they found something deeply disturbing. Nobody expected Solomon Nelson to be the guy to take down Mike Israetel. He's just a fitness analyst with a small following. But unlike most fitness channels, Solomon actually does the work. The real, boring academic-style work that most people skip. On September 29th, 2025, he posted a 70-minute video called Mike Israetel's PhD, the biggest academic sham in fitness. And this wasn't clickbait. He went through Mike's 2013 PhD dissertation from East Tennessee State University, line by line. And what he found, it was brutal. The thesis looked at how different fitness traits work together in Division I athletes from 4 sports, things like body fat, muscle strength, jumping ability, and acceleration, and how all of that tied to performance. On paper, it sounded solid, like it deserved a PhD. But Solomon's investigation told a very different story. Mike's research didn't come up with any new theories. It didn't explore any new mechanisms or introduce any clever methods. The whole 200-page thesis basically just confirmed what every exercise scientist already knew. If you're strong, agile, muscular, and lean, you perform better in sports. But the lack of originality was just the beginning. The thesis was riddled with grammatical errors.
Mike misspells the word vertical as vetical or vetricle, individual as invididual, properties as propertites, neural as neural, training as traininiger.
The statistical errors were next, and that's when things became completely indefensible. In his descriptive data tables, Mike reported that a group of 20 athletes had an average weight of 73.9 kilograms. Normal enough until you looked at the standard deviation, 71.8 kilograms. For anyone who's taken even a basic statistics course, this number is impossible. A standard deviation that big would mean some participants in Mike's study weighed less than 2 kilograms, which is lighter than most newborn babies. And it wasn't just a one-off mistake. The same error showed up 3 separate times across the dataset, messing with height, weight, body fat, and even age. One calculation gave an average age of 20 with a standard deviation of 21.2. That means mathematically some participants would have had negative ages. These aren't the kind of subtle mistakes that can slip past peer review. These are entry-level errors anyone would catch in their first statistics class. And yet, here they were, in a doctoral thesis, the supposed pinnacle of academic work. As a former Mike follower, who now has become very critical of him, I was expecting it to be bad. But when you brought up the standard deviations, I cringed so hard. As a physics undergraduate student, seeing a PhD presenting this as a thesis is an insult to science and statistics. This guy is the biggest joke I ever seen. This was the moment when Mike Israetel could have shown the kind of maturity people expect from someone with a PhD. He could have admitted that his dissertation, written 12 years earlier, had major flaws. He could have explained how his methods had evolved since then. He could have turned it into a teaching moment about learning and academic growth. Instead, he lied. He didn't even respond himself. Instead, his associate Milo Wolf put out a defense. The excuse was simple. Solomon had apparently reviewed the wrong document. It was a pre-draft, a preliminary submission that would later undergo over 1,600 corrections before final approval.
But here's the kicker. The version Solomon reviewed wasn't even the final dissertation. It was an earlier draft. I need to make one thing very clear. The version of Mike's dissertation I've reviewed is a much later draft. This is the document Mike himself saved, defended, and sent to me, and it corrects many of the typos and inconsistencies that Solomon highlighted in his video.
The fitness community wanted to believe it. His fans jumped on the explanation immediately. Other fitness influencers made videos backing him up and attacking Solomon, saying he'd gotten his facts wrong. But internet investigators don't sleep, and what they found destroyed the entire defense. The corrected version Milo Wolf used to try to prove Solomon wrong had a huge problem. The document property showed it didn't come from East Tennessee State University at all. It belonged to a digital marketing agency in Argentina, one that works with Mike Israetel. Now, why would a marketing agency have access to and editing rights for a 2013 academic dissertation? The metadata shows this was recently modified by Mike's own team. The forensics kept getting worse. The document had been edited recently, right around the time Solomon's video dropped. The so-called rough draft Solomon reviewed actually had fewer errors than the corrected version Milo provided. And then investigators noticed something even more suspicious. Mike had restricted access to his dissertation on the East Tennessee State University website immediately after Solomon's video. If this really was just a simple mix-up about which draft was being reviewed, why would Mike rush to hide the official university version? This is embarrassing for East Tennessee State University. This will hurt him not because his PhD is a dumpster fire, but because his whole career and YouTube channel is based on "trust me, I'm a doctor, and I'm smarter than everybody else." For 6 days, Mike maintained the lie through his surrogates. But on October 6th, 2025, the lie became impossible to maintain when he posted this. Upon review, the dissertation Solomon examined was indeed the correct document. For nearly a week, he had knowingly spread false information. He had let Milo Wolf create entire videos based on lies. He had coordinated other influencers to attack Solomon's credibility, and he only admitted the truth when the evidence became undeniable. So the Milo Wolf response and the revised doc were lies and manufactured. This is bad, bro. This scandal exposed exactly how these fitness influencer networks operate. When one of them gets called out, they coordinate defenses without verifying facts. And when those defenses collapse, they simply delete their involvement and move on. This is pathetic. This is why the fitness industry is so toxic. This right here. But the algorithm doesn't care about apologies. It only cares about credibility and engagement, and Mike's engagement was collapsing in real time. Renaissance Periodization's viewership took a big hit almost overnight. Videos that used to get 260,000 to 800,000 views are now struggling to break 95,000 to 148,000. The channel lost 10,000 subscribers in a single day, and the like-to-dislike ratios were rough. One video had 3,900 likes and 2,500 dislikes. It was clear the comments were being managed. Thousands of critical comments disappeared, and whole threads questioning Mike's credibility were wiped out. They're deleting comments faster than people can post them. Every video is being heavily moderated to remove any mention of the PhD scandal. But deleting comments doesn't erase what people remember. Every new video Mike posts gets flooded with references to the Mike Israetel files. But the PhD controversy was just one front in a much bigger attack on Mike's credibility. His personal choices were disturbing too, starting with his decision to chase professional bodybuilding at 40. Mike had been trying for years to earn an IFBB Pro card, the credential that lets you compete at the very top of the sport. The problem was obvious. At that age, well past his physical prime, the only realistic way to make serious progress was to dramatically increase his use of performance-enhancing drugs.
I am not hating on him. I think he's an amazing YouTuber. I think he has a way above average physique, but I certainly don't want to see him risk his life in the hopes of getting a pro card when he doesn't need one.
But perhaps the most dangerous controversy came when Mike promoted experimental drugs as the next generation of steroids, supposedly without any side effects.
You are going to be able to gain muscle at levels we barely see with the highest doses of steroids most people can't sustain for about a few weeks, with 10 times less side effects.
Mike framed these medications as revolutionary, potentially available to the general public within years, but he conveniently downplayed the critical details. In human trials, 77% of participants experienced adverse effects, 10% faced serious complications, 28% dropped out entirely. Mike's promotion of these compounds, along with the way he left out key risks to make them seem safe, showed just how badly his judgment had faltered. But despite everything, Mike was even named to the Global Fitness 100 2025 list on October 18, 2025, recognized as a leading figure in the fitness industry. The announcement still prominently featured his PhD credentials and described him as a defining architect of science-led transformation. He also announced a Dubai seminar scheduled for November 29, 2025, where he'll appear alongside other fitness coaches. The promotional material still highlights his doctorate and still positions him as an authority, but the magic is gone. Every video carries the weight of what happened. The trust that separated him from regular fitness influencers has evaporated, and in an industry built entirely on credibility, that's everything. The downfall was inevitable, because you can't build an empire on intellectual honesty while being fundamentally dishonest. And maybe that's exactly the lesson this story needed to teach.